You're my hair back.
What's up, primates? I'm Shane the Skeptic, and as always, I thank you for tuning into my channel to watch my content. I'm going to try to get in the habit of thanking people at the beginning and end of the streams because, I mean, I know everybody likes to thank you for watching their shit, but I genuinely appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you more than I appreciate people on TikTok following me for whatever reason. I actually got on TikTok recently, and that's going to have a little bit to do with why I'm doing this stream today, because I came across a video on TikTok, and the video was made by a little Christian kid. So I'm going to be blocking out his face because he's a minor, but I'm going to be playing the video. All I did was block his face and cut out the part where he says his name. And I want you to watch and listen to what this little Christian kid has to say. And if somebody ever asks you, if you're an anti-theist like myself, or if you're not an anti-theist and you're wondering, why am I? Why am I an anti-theist? Or more specifically, what is my problem with Christianity? This video should answer those questions in itself. But we're going to have a discussion about it after the fact. So let's just play the clip. And before I play the clip, I want to say something. I want to get this clear now. If I see anybody in the live chat talking shit about the kid, not only am I going to ban you from being able to comment, I'm going to put your comment on the screen to put you on blast, and I'm going to ridicule you. And if you think you want attention, fucking try me. I promise you don't. Here's the video.
Why are you so religious, they ask? Well, like, you see, Christianity isn't a religion. You see this stick? This right here, imagine this stuck to your back. Imagine carrying your stick to the place that you're going to die. You see, imagine getting beaten so bad that your family can't even recognize you. Imagine getting all your skin torn off. Imagine getting nails shoved through your hand. All for a person who continuously strays away from you. So the reason I am so religious, the reason that I care so much about Jesus is because he cares so much about me. He cares about you too.
Now keep in mind that you're not even looking in his fucking eyes when he's making that video. You don't even know how sad it really is to watch unless you've seen it already. But he's crying. It's fucking disgusting that these beliefs have been indoctrinated into his fucking mind. He doesn't deserve to feel this way. There's no reason that he should. He should be concerned about basketball or girls or video games, whatever the fuck. I don't care. This shit is ridiculous. And if you were this kid's parent and you saw this video, what it should cause you to do is pause and go, what have I done to my kid? And even if you maintain your Christian belief, maybe go, whoa, is there something wrong with the way that I'm teaching it? Like, it should be pretty obvious by that video you just saw that clearly something is fucking wrong, right? It's obvious, right? Let's look at some of the comments the video got. This man is speaking fire. The second one, whatever. How come I can't like this a million times? God bless you, brother. Keep up the Lord's work. Well done. Amen. Stay on fire for Jesus. You are an inspiration. An inspiration. Not only do they not think it's fucked up, this is what they want to be. not only do it's not like a failure to care or something. They think this is a good thing. Okay, that's what they think. He cares about me. Amen. Amen. God is so good. This is so good. It literally gave me chills. Love your passion for Christ. Keep it up, bro. This is and a lot of Christians will who do recognize that there's something wrong, they're probably going to try to tell you that most Christians would recognize that there's something wrong. They don't. I didn't have to scroll through comments until I conveniently found ones that fit the narrative that I'm giving you here. That's not what happened. Whenever I see Christian posts on Facebook that should get some response that's like, hey, whoa, this is a little bit much. This is a little bit scary, a little bit unhealthy, a little bit toxic. No, it's amen, amen, amen. I gathered some thoughts about it. So, this is what Christianity does to children. I know it not only because I just saw it in that video, but because I lived it. That kid that you see in that video, that was me when I was 8 years old and I watched that stupid fucking Mel Gibson movie, The Passion of the Christ. Do you know how horrible that movie made me feel? To watch a video, you're basically watching a video of someone getting tortured, and you're under the impression that the reason why he's getting tortured is to pay for you, to pay for your sins, because you're a sinner. Your sins needed to be paid for. And the only way they could have been paid for, apparently, was this guy getting tortured for you. And you are so undescribably grateful that somebody actually endured that kind of suffering for your sake. And understandably, you're going to be pretty upset when other people are failing to recognize that payment that's been made for you. What Christianity does is quite obvious. It begins by convincing you that you inherit sin and are worthy of eternal torture and fire. It then tells you that God came to earth in the form of man and was tortured on a cross as a payment for your sin, so you don't necessarily have to go to hell. It then tells you that for whatever reason, this payment is only valid and approved if you recognize that it was made and worship the man who made the payment. Which isn't how payments normally work as far as I'm aware, but hey. So the recognition of this payment and worship of the man who made it is your only path to salvation from the torture and fire which you deserve by default for inheriting the sin. So it makes sense to see people who are convinced of this get quite angry when someone in their eyes fails to recognize this payment. You might think that this kid is being unreasonable. The kid's not being unreasonable. What he's doing is he's reasoning with what unreasonable beliefs he has to apply his reasoning to. Everything he's thinking makes sense. His anger totally fucking makes sense. He's not being unreasonable. And you know what? I'm actually going to play it again. People don't normally do that when they go over videos, but it's a fucking TikTok. So you have time. This is the video.
Why are you so religious, they ask? Well, like, you see, Christianity isn't a religion. You see this stick? This right here, imagine this stuck to your back. Imagine carrying your stick to the place that you're going to die. You see, imagine getting beaten so bad that your family can't even recognize you. Imagine getting all your skin torn off. Imagine getting nails shoved through your hand. All for a person who continuously strays away from you. So the reason I am so religious, the reason that I care so much about Jesus is because he cares so much about me. He cares about you too.
The reason why I'm so religious is because Jesus cares so much about me. In other words, enough to go through that torture on the cross, which for some reason we blame the people who tortured him but then they literally had to torture and kill him in order for us to get salvation. So that was part of the plan. So literally, they were a necessary part of God's plan, but we all just were supposed to condemn the people that killed Jesus. I mean, Jesus was born so that he could be killed, so that we could be forgiven, right? So, isn't killing Jesus like one of the best things anyone's ever done? Should be. They don't want to think about it that way. But that poor kid has been manipulated into thinking this. And Christianity preys on people. Now, I'm not saying all Christians prey on people, because I could already hear people going, all Christians are not manipulative. I'm not saying that all Christians are manipulative. And I wouldn't deny that atheists can be manipulative. That's one of the reasons I always tell people, whichever fucking side you're on, that when somebody's going through a grieving process, a mourning process, that right now is not the time to talk to them about your belief and your differences in belief in the afterlife. It's not the time to try to change their mind. I like to change people's minds, but you don't do that shit when they're mourning. Christianity, I shared a post the other day, and I had a good conversation with a Christian that I know in the comments about it. Christianity, look, you never see somebody who is already happy find God. When somebody goes through this experience of finding God, it's always the case that they were low. They were at rock bottom. All of a sudden, they found God. You never see somebody who was already happy find God. The starting premise of Christianity is that you are not worthy of happiness. Like, you're a sinner. And some Christians want to go, oh, well, you're just putting a lot of emphasis on that part. Fuck me. I'm putting emphasis on you telling people that they're nothing. I'm putting emphasis on you belittling people. I'm putting emphasis on you saying people don't deserve happiness. Yeah, I'm going to keep putting emphasis on that because it's a pretty fucking important part of your religion. Because if you didn't have that sin, what would you need to be saved from? Salvation. You're being saved from hell. Hell is the default. The fact that you can convince people that they deserve to be tortured by default, you're born deserving to be tortured, is fucked up. Have you ever held a baby in your life? A lot of you Christians have. You've held a baby before. It's crazy to me that you could look at a baby and think this deserves to be tortured. That's what you think. And you don't want to admit the really unpalatable shit like that exists within your worldview, but it follows from it. And so I could be nice to Christians, depending on who they are, but most of the time I could be nice to Christians. I cannot be nice to Christianity. Christianity is very harmful. I'm going to read a little bit of the Antichrist by Friedrich Nietzsche because fuck Christianity. That's why. Honestly, do I really need anything else to say? Christianity has sided with everything weak, low, and botched. It has made an ideal out of antagonism toward all the self-preservative instincts of strong life. It has corrupted even the reason of the strongest intellects by teaching that the highest values of intellectuality are sinful, misleading, and full of temptations. The most lamentable example of this was the corruption of Pascal, who believed in the perversion of his reason through original sin, whereas it had only been perverted by his Christianity. What I maintain is this, that all the values upon which mankind builds its highest hopes and desires are decadent values. I call an animal, a species, an individual corrupt when it loses its instincts, when it selects and prefers that which is detrimental to it. That's when you're corrupt, when you start to prefer that which is detrimental to you. You do not deserve to be tortured in fire. I will say that 1,000,000 more fucking times before I die. Oh, let's all spread the word. Let's spread the good news. I have a gospel for you. The gospel is this. Hell ain't real. The word gospel means good news. The real good news is that hell is not a real fucking place. It's a made up, fictional, mythological place that people who honestly are still in a fucking primitive thinking process came up with. And you believe it because you were indoctrinated to believe it when you were young. You don't deserve to be tortured in fire. It's a stupid fucking thing to think about yourself. How bad are you? What have you done to deserve it? Oh, you don't think you have to do anything to deserve it. You think you deserve it by default. I think that's fucking stupid. I think you deserve to be happy. I think you deserve to be healthy. I think you deserve to pursue anything that you desire, which is not harmful to other people. You deserve a relationship, a healthy one. And if you don't want one, you shouldn't be obligated to be in one. Christianity teaches you that you're nothing, that you're worthless, which is exactly what the fuck a domestic abuser does when they start dating somebody. Or maybe not when they start dating them, but before they get abusive. First, you have to belittle the person. First, what you got to do is you got to make them think that they depend on you, that they need you. That's the first thing you need to do. If you actually pay attention to what the fuck a domestic abuser is, and you also actually pay attention to what the fuck Christianity is, then maybe you might just wake up and realize that your Christian friends who are afraid that you're going to go to hell are nothing more than people in an abusive relationship with a fucking imaginary abuser. And all I want to do is let you know that your abuser isn't even fucking real. And that sounds fucked up to say if it was a real abuser. And you don't want to invalidate people. What they're going through is real, right? What they're going through, their feeling, their experience is real. Let me see. Let me look at the live chat a little bit. I've just been cooking. Oh shit, okay. A little support from cooking. You said keep cooking this shit. Hell yeah, Bar. You know how it is, man. Hey, anyone who knows me knows that normally I'm not what you would think of, at least in my conduct, as an angry atheist. I'm not saying the angry atheist. But guess what? I'm one pissed off fucking atheist today because I'm watching a child talk about this shit, dude. It's fucking disturbing. And not only am I watching something disturbing, I'm also watching something that is disturbing that people not only fail to recognize as disturbing, they think it's a fucking good thing. Your values are skewed if you could watch that kid and you don't see that he needs help. You know what? You're right about that, secular. You know what? I think Ree said she's down for that. So, all right, you know what? You fucking bot. I'm gonna remove your ass. Fuck bots, dude. I ain't got time for that shit. Not enough real problems. Actually, while we're talking about fake problems, fucking hell is as real of a place as that body is a person. It's silly. Demons in hell are fucking silly, okay? If a bad thing happened to you, it's because bad shit happens. It's a pretty common part of life. Bad shit happening. Bad shit happens to people that think demons are involved. You realize that literally most of the people in the world are starving, right? So like even before the fact that there was this current fucking pandemic where we have a virus killing people by the thousands, it has to have been killed a few million people. You know, malaria, cancer, all those other things. Like, there's just a lot of bad shit that happens in the world. Hurricanes, tornadoes, bad shit happens. Okay? No demons. No demons, no hell. It's all bullshit. People need to grow up and grow out of this shit. And like I said earlier, I used to be that kid in that video. I used to feel that way when I watched that fucking Mel Gibson movie, The Passion of the Christ. The Christ. Why not The Passion of Christ? The title itself is fucked up. The title itself is fucking stupid. My dumbass, that's how I learned Jesus didn't speak English. That's how young I was when I watched that movie. Because, of course, your first thought is that Jesus speaks the same language as you. Also, I was taught, like most people, that Jesus was a fucking white guy, which is really stupid. Every picture of Jesus, you go Google image Jesus. It's crazy to me that to this day that's even still a thing. Go look up a picture of Jesus. What is it? A blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. Just a bunch of Shanes with beards and long hair. Just a bunch of white dudes. That ain't what the fuck Jesus would have looked like. A guy who lived in the Middle East. You're fucking crazy. I'm looking at some of your comments still. No, you guys, I'm glad you guys all tuned in. And look, the same way that kid, part of the reason he feels that way is because he cares about you. I'm angry because I care. If you're a Christian and you're watching this, understand that if I don't give a fuck about you, then for all I care, I hope you believe in Christianity for the rest of your life. If you're a person I don't like, I hope you remain a Christian because I like the thought of you wasting your entire life believing in some shit that isn't real. Your whole life dedicated to something that isn't even fucking real. If I don't like you, that's how I feel. But by default, if you're a human being, I care about you, unless I have a pretty good fucking reason not to feel that way. And when I see people talk about these beliefs, even when I get frustrated with them and at them and I get angry at them, you know, I'm reminded by the fact that I'm only angry at them because of what they're basically doing to themselves. Have you ever seen somebody do something where it was stupid and they were very likely to get hurt, and everyone in public, they get really mad at them, they yell at that person because you get angry at somebody when somebody wants to hurt themselves because you don't even know them, but you fucking care. Like, hey, you don't fucking do that. Don't hurt yourself. You don't fucking deserve that. Why do I have to be angry with my positivity? I want to just be chill. I really want to just be chill. This isn't something that some unique Christians do, okay? This manipulation is inherent within Christianity. That's what you need to understand. It's part of the goddamn ideology. Like I said, the domestic abuser does. You break somebody down, teach them that they're fucking nothing without it, that they need it, and then, as Hitchens says, you tell them that they're sick and sell them the cure, but they're not even really sick. It's disappointing, really. And for the most part, you know what? I think I'm comfortable with my rant. I'm gonna, for the first time, open up the stream, put a link in the live chat. So if anybody wants to hop in and talk with me about this, just hop into a conversation. Then we'll keep it going. But I would just want everybody to know that it's difficult to feel empathetic, sympathetic toward these people, and at the same time feel so fucking angry. Because I'm angry, but I'm sympathetic. I care. If you're a Christian and you're watching this, I care about you. I want you to lose your imaginary abuser. That's all it is a relationship with an imaginary abuser. You don't need God to be good. That poor kid in that video, like, do you know what he probably thinks about being atheist? He probably thinks that if he were to become an atheist, he can no longer be a good person. He thinks that he needs God to be good. That kid doesn't need God to be good. I mean, I don't know the kid. If he's not a good kid, I guess I wouldn't know it. But he you know, most likely, most kids aren't really that bad up until they're 12, and they're all assholes. I'm playing a little bit, but all right, looks like we got Ree on here, so I'm gonna add Ree to the stream. Ree, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
You know what? I've been pissed off all day. I'm in a bad fucking mood. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not even just this, just the fact that it's like, again, there's a virus that's killing millions of people. There are other viruses that have always been doing that. Over 70% of the world is starving. You know, like human trafficking is still a thing. And so you know, I've been pretty just like nuclear war could happen at any point, and then the world's basically going to end. And I'm just thinking about how much shit in the world sucks lately, and then for whatever reason made the stupid decision to get on TikTok. I was never get on TikTok when you're already in a bad mood.
No,
But
no,
I
don't
thought I
do
thought,
that.
you know what? Normally I don't live stream when I'm in a bad mood, but today I felt like I could utilize my bad mood,
Some ranting and going on.
Yeah. So
Oh, but yeah, I was
what
excited to see that you were talking about emotional manipulation because I was on Neil, the 604 Atheist show the other night, and I was talking about how my mother would constantly gaslight and try to emotionally manipulate me, like, oh, it's Mother's Day, it's my birthday, and the only thing I want is for you to come to church with me. And I'm like, shut up. I know. No.
Yeah.
It's constant. Every single gift that she'll ever send me is either some kind of Bible, some kind of religious affiliated thing. And
My
oh.
family members have learned the hard way to stop doing that kind of thing. Family members, like I have a lot of atheists tell me that, they can't get their family members to stop proselytizing. I'm like, I just wish you fuckers could scold them the way that I do, because
Can you scold
eventually
my mother for me?
I will. I'll do it. I'm not even kidding. I
Okay,
should start a
good.
business scolding people's Christian parents.
There you
Like,
go.
you need somebody to break the fucking facts of reality to your parents. I'll do it. I'll get some money for it.
I'll get some money for it.
I actually, honestly, I might pay to do it. I just like scolding Christian parents.
I will set you two up so you can have a conversation.
But
As long as I can
I
be
mean,
present.
I'm utterly concerned at how many people watched the video that I played and not only saw nothing wrong with it, but thought it was a good thing. So, do you think your mom, if that was you in that video, or actually, let's just say if she watched that video, what do you think your mother, who's a Christian, would have to say about that video? Do you think she'd see anything wrong with it, or probably not?
Oh no, she would see nothing wrong with it. She would be, oh, it's so nice to see such a young child, on
Right,
fire for the Lord and all this shit. And I'm
right.
like, no, there is something mentally wrong with these people.
Well, and then there's something else fucked up, because you will have Christians who recognize that this is fucked up, that there's something
Mhm.
wrong, and they're going to try to tell you that this isn't representative of Christianity. This isn't how most Christians feel. But for us as outsiders of Christianity who regularly engage in conversations with Christians, this is a very common view among those
It
people.
is. It is. I mean,
And
I don't know
you
if you've
can.
come across David Ladding on TikTok,
I don't
but
think so.
oh my gosh, his face is always this close to the camera, and he's always crying his ass off, and just it's the worst. Even even Telltale on YouTube did a segment about him.
They get super emotional, and I mean, I am not criticizing them for being emotional about it. I would be emotional if I believed in it too, but I also
Mhm.
see the kinds of emotions that they're experiencing, and I'm thinking to myself, you know how you're always asking me why I'm so against Christianity? And it's crazy to me because, like, if Christianity is true, most people go to hell. So for me, scenario A, there's no afterlife.
Mhm.
Scenario B, there's heaven and hell, but only like some elite 1% of people get to go to heaven, and then
Right?
everybody else goes to hell. I would rather the former than the latter. I mean, for one, I don't see myself being one of the people that goes to heaven. What kind of God do you have? And I just, even if like I'm not comfortable with the thought of 99% of people fucking suffering. What is that, dude?
Right? Like you were saying on your TikTok the other day, like who can look at a newborn baby and say, "Yeah, that fucker deserves to burn."
And that's what they think. It is what logically follows from their worldview is that a newborn baby deserves to be tortured in fire. Some of them will say, well, only until it gets baptized. Fuck you.
Baptism was
Splashing.
never even
Well, then
biblically
it's like at some
required.
point, like you fuckers are splashing magic water on the kid because you think it keeps it out of a fucking made up afterlife that's not even, we have no reason to think is a real place, and it's an incoherent concept. Why? First of all, why the fuck does Satan have a problem with me? Let's just say I go to hell, right? I go to hell. And I walk in the first door. I'm assuming there are doors. Every hell has to have doors. A doorless hell is incoherent. There has to be more doors than necessary. I just feel like the first hallway is just a bunch of unnecessary doors. I'm making up my own hell now. But as soon as I get there, I'm trying to imagine if they were right about this. And I find myself face to face with Satan. I'm gonna go, hey, what's up? Like,
What's up?
I don't see why Satan would have a problem with me. I mean, if Satan dislikes Christianity, the Christian God, and I work against Christianity, the Christian God, aren't we on the same side? So really, the Pascal's wager logic should work a little bit more something like this. We're gonna call this Shane the Skeptic's wager. Okay. It's better to go to hell as an atheist than it is to go to hell as a Christian. Because if you go to hell as a Christian, you are for sure going to be tortured like a motherfucker by Satan. But if you go to hell and you're an atheist, Satan probably isn't going to care. So it's in your best interest to just not be a Christian. The argument is as flawed as Pascal's wager, is equally flawed. But if you're someone who believes on the basis of Pascal's wager, here's another consideration for you. Oh, you think heaven's real? Well, if it is, guess what? You're probably not going to go. You're probably going to go to hell. So
exactly,
you might as well be on Satan's good side when you fucking get there. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. Let's see. The other Shane is here. God damn it.
Hi, other Shane.
Where did his comment go? Will
the
real Shane please stand up? There he is.
You know, Spicy Shane is my favorite Shane too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, when you're not pissed off all the time, people appreciate it more when you are.
Exactly. You can have a hug bar. I'll give you a hug.
I want to point out this comment Secular put in. He said, "Oh, don't worry, Shane. The littlest of babies never reach the age of accountability, so they aren't tortured forever, just in a nothingness bullshit existence. Still there, but only kinda in purgatory." This is actually an interesting one. So I was raised Catholic, and I remember being taught about purgatory, and I was never like notified when they said, "Oh, it's not a thing anymore." Like, I don't even know what year the Pope was like, "Oh, purgatory? Nope, that's not a thing." It's like, oh, okay, so like all of these parents have been grieving their dead kids and thinking that they were in this horrible place for nothing. How'd you get it wrong? Wasn't God talking to you? They get shit wrong.
Didn't you have a direct line? Like, what is happening? One of my funniest headlines that I've read recently was the Pope telling people that it's selfish to get animals instead of having children.
My favorite headline was, "Man with no kids says it's selfish to not have kids." Yep. That's what it was.
Exactly.
If anything, it's selfish to have kids. If anything.
I agree. It's selfish to have kids. I never want children.
My mind is, my whole life I was leaning more toward not wanting them. Now I'm thinking probably I will, but not for another like 8 to 12 years. I want my 20s to be for me. But
exactly.
My main reason is just this, though. I noticed that, I'm not saying everyone with a kid is stupid, but like most of the stupid people that I know have kids, and most of the smart people that I know don't have kids. And I know smart people with kids. I know stupid people without them. I'm just saying, I'm afraid that if I don't have kids, like smart people need to be, not that I'm a genius, but when I see some of these other motherfuckers out there in the world, you know what I'm saying? it's just that if the stupid people are the only ones reproducing, then humanity is just going to evolve to keep getting dumber, and I can't let that happen.
It's gonna devolve into idiocracy.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. I'm gonna put the link back in. I don't know how to highlight it because I fucking suck at StreamYard, but
Oh my gosh.
if anybody else wants to hop in and give a comment or two about manipulation within Christianity, and we just talked about manipulation into the faith, not even the ways in which you get manipulated by the faith once you're already in it. And being on TikTok has made, oh man, I thought I knew how much I hated the world until I got on TikTok and I was like, oh, I was so naive. The world is so much worse than I thought. The people in it are so much more insufferable than I ever could have possibly imagined. But I see, Christian TikToks, and like I see this video that a girl posted, and it was like things I struggle with, sins, and all of them were harmless. Like one of them was showing skin. It's like, you're not doing something bad by showing skin on fucking TikTok. I struggle with showing skin. So you really, you look good and you want to show off, which there's nothing wrong with. Also, I'm on OnlyFans. Anyway, the point is, like, there's nothing wrong with it, but you're doing it anyway. But even though you're doing this thing, which is harmless, that you like doing enough that you cannot help but continue to do it, you think you're doing something bad. And this is my problem, is you start teaching people that things that they do regularly are bad things. Now, of course, if something's actually bad, I want you to recognize that it is. But if there's nothing wrong with doing something, then I think it's incredibly harmful to teach somebody that there is something wrong with doing it.
Yeah.
That's a good hashtag. Show that skin.
Show that skin.
Which also showing skin is just, I've heard that a lot within like Christian communities. Is what they refer to, really just like if you're not covered ridiculously. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, cleavage showing or something like that. And it's like I don't know what's up with it, man. Purity culture is a bunch of bullshit. It's harmful to people, and fucking Christianity is insanely toxic. And if anybody, I'm torturing the people who've been tuned in from the beginning, and I apologize. But if anybody wonders why I think Christianity is manipulative, here's a good example.
Why are you so religious, they ask? Well, like, you see, Christianity isn't a religion. You see this stick? This right here, imagine this stuck to your back. Imagine carrying your stick to the place that you're going to die. You see, imagine getting beaten so bad that your family can't even recognize you. Imagine getting all your skin torn off. Imagine getting nails shoved through your hand. All for a person who continuously strays away from you. So the reason I am so religious, the reason that I care so much about Jesus is because he cares so much about me. He cares about you too.
Yeah, that's why I think Christianity is manipulative. That's not healthy. And if you can't watch that and recognize that it's unhealthy, then there's something fucking wrong with you. All right, well, looks like something must have happened with Ree's connection. However, looks like we got Correa on here. What's going on, Correa?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I just, like, it's been, you were like, oh yeah, I've just been mad today. I have been mad all week. Like, it started with the hostage situation in Colleyville. That was on Sunday. And then, like, and it's just been like something every day since. Did you see that video where Dan Crenshaw attacked a 10-year-old kid for asking him a question?
I had heard about it, but not watched it. No.
Oh my gosh. When you watch it, like, that is like it's like the yeah, it's like to watch it, and like literally like the entire crowd booed at him when because like she quoted him back to him and asked him a question about his quote, and he was immediately like, don't you dare ever ask me about my faith again. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
and
a
it's
really
just like,
telling response, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, people who are secure in their beliefs, like, don't mind getting questioned about it. And
Right.
they also
Exactly.
don't attack people, let alone a child.
Right.
Like,
Like
like
one time I asked somebody if they were if they accepted evolution or if they were a young earth creationist. This wasn't I wasn't provoking them. I wasn't being mean. I wasn't being rude. I wasn't being aggressive. Like literally was like, "Oh, so I'm aware that like you're Christian." So I asked this question, was met with anger. Why the fuck are you mad? When I'm literally just asking which Christian theology you subscribe to. You said you're a Christian. I'm asking you which kind. I don't want to talk about this with you. Oh, you don't know anything about what you believe. That's what it normally is.
oh, Saphira has decided she is a parrot. But
So-
well, yeah, and like,
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, like all I was gonna say is that like it's like in that situation, it's just very clear that like that person isn't trying to be a Christian like because they are like trying to be a good person.
Right.
It's just because they want the power and control.
I want the
And
power and the
to be
control.
able to loom that over.
Or it's just their cognitive dissonance stepping in and they've lost, maybe they started out with some value for being a good person and that made them inclined toward Christianity, but then after becoming a Christian you might just not have that same inclination to be a good person anymore, but you will have cognitive dissonance and you will have a desire to defend your faith. And I mean, I'm interested in what Christians have to say about like my criticism of that video, why I'm wrong. Like what critique do they have of me seeing that video and being concerned for that little boy and saying that clearly this little boy has beliefs that are not healthy for him.
But they have their own cognitive dissonance where they like separate themselves of like, well, but no, but I love my child and I would never do that to my child. Like if my
Right.
child like was responding that way, I would be like wanting to talk with them and find out like what's going on with them emotionally so that they feel more like safe and secure. And so I'm a good parent and I'm a good person and that's not my Jesus. That's not my experience. And so they're just an outlier. And so it's not fair to judge the rest of them. I don't believe any of this. That's all bullshit. But like that's the kind of stuff they say.
Yeah.
And I like this question. What could somebody possibly tell him? Because I pause and I ask myself that same thing. And all I could come up with to leave a comment was I feel very sorry for the manipulation that you've suffered and that you continue to suffer from.
Yeah.
And it's something else to the effect of like, hell is a made up place, and even if it was real, you don't deserve to go there. And it just makes me sad to see people so afraid of something that's made up. And again, like people think that I talk shit about Christianity because I hate Christians. If I hated Christians, I would say, please keep believing in Christianity. Because if I don't fucking like you and you become a Christian, I'm not happy about the influence you have on other people. But like I said, it's like, okay, cool. You get to waste your whole life believing something that isn't real. I don't have a problem with that. The last guy that I debated on this channel, the precept Alan, yeah, he's gonna die thinking that he's about to go somewhere, and then he's not gonna go anywhere. I'm okay with that. He's like, yeah, that's fine. But if I care about you, I kind of want you to accept life as what it is, because I think that having a belief, the same way, if you think that you have more money than you actually do, you're probably not going to spend what money you do very wisely. And I think the same thing applies to the time that we have. I think that if you think you have significantly more time to exist than you actually do, it's going to have a great influence on the way in which you exist. There are a lot of experiences that you'll miss out on simply because you think that they're sins. And You know, when I hear people talk about the purity culture bullshit, it's just like insane to me that I'm like, wow, you're 25, 26, capable of getting laid, never tried because you think you're doing a horrible fucking thing. And I mean, I'm literally just like, I
It's
don't
the
know.
wasted potential for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sad to see people waste their lives. I'm sad to see people
So-
experience what that boy's experiencing.
I just watched last night a TikTok from I Blame Bill, and it was like in a response to someone's comment where they basically did Pascal's wager of like, you know, like if you are, you know, if you're wrong, we didn't lose anything, but if we're wrong, you lose everything. And
Right.
she's just like, but have you really lost nothing? You know, like
Exactly.
have you really not, you know, kicked out your gay child and severed this relationship because you don't agree with their lifestyle? Have you really not stayed with a husband for decades because the Bible says that divorce is wrong? Have you really not, you know, been like present and experienced these moments because you're looking upward? Or
Right.
you know, like all of these things that it's like there's a huge part of
Oh,
this that you're
and while we're talking about Christianity and manipulation, what was the specific part of what you said that I was trying to think about? What was like one of the last things you said? Fuck, my bad.
was it
Uh,
like staying in a divorce
oh,
or like
that,
staying in a
yes,
marriage
thank you.
or
That's
about
what
like
it was.
missing the
No,
moment?
the divorce thing. Teaching people that divorce is a sin is one of the most harmful fucking things you could do to a society. It is insane because people who are in abusive relationships, which they would have otherwise left because of how fucking toxic and unhealthy it was, are convinced that they're compelled by their religion to stay in this abusive relationship. And you have
Exactly.
women who should be able to go, you know, like maybe they have somewhere to go or somewhere they could stay if they move out. Like whatever the case is, they have everything that they need to get divorced and move on with their life and have a healthier, happier life. But you teach them that divorce is bad. So no matter how bad your husband is, he could have cheated on you. Now you got to work on it. Of course, if you a woman cheat, you're going to fucking hell, you dirty sinners. Men, we just need to apologize, but y'all are fucked if you do it. Yeah, like to teach. So an abuser can manipulate somebody through their faith to stay in a marriage that they shouldn't be part of. And it's not only the abuser that's doing that manipulation, it's also everybody involved in their community that is teaching them those same ideas that divorce is a fucking sin, that divorce is wrong. My mom, when she was like 8 or something, my grandparents got divorced because my grandpa cheated on my grandma. He cheated on every woman he's ever married, actually. He ain't going to no fucking heaven. So my grandpa cheated on my grandma, and
You ain't special, Grandma.
then he left, moved out of state with one. I have like 4 aunts and uncles. He left with one of them, so we know who his favorite kid was, and basically left my grandma like on her own. Like, all right, you're on your own with these 3 kids. And her community was the Catholic Church. Well, word got around that she'd been divorced. And my mom tells me that one day they came home from a store or something. They came home and members of their church had put a bunch of food at their door with a note saying, like, you're excommunicated. You're not welcome to come back to the church. And my mom's friends, their parents wouldn't let them hang out with my mom because my mom was from a divorced family. And like there was a lot of shit that like they were the outcasts because they were in a Catholic community and they were divorced. What was my grandma supposed to do? Stay with my grandpa who cheated on her? And also, like, he left her. Why should she be condemned when he's the one who left the fucking marriage?
Exactly.
Because in Christianity, if you have a man and a woman, you blame the woman. Something goes wrong, like
because it's her fault that he cheated.
Yeah, just like it's Eve's
If
fault that
he had
Adam
been
ate
a
the
better
apple.
woman, he wouldn't have left.
I love that part of the Bible. It's Eve's fault that Adam ate the apple. He made the same damn decision she did.
If you actually read it, it's so much worse because God makes Adam, then gives him the instruction, do not eat from this tree. Then he makes Eve. So Eve never got the instruction.
Yeah. Oh shit, I feel bad because I didn't see that Danny had joined the chat. It looks like he's actually been in here for a minute, but it just on my screen it wasn't showing him. So I'm gonna add him. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Thanks so much for being here.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And no, it's good because I hadn't listened to a lot of the stream before when I first clicked on the link, so I'm kind of been absorbing the position.
Okay, cool. I think I've seen you before. I don't know your channel, but I think I've seen you like in conversation with Khalil or something like that. Were you? Yeah. Okay. You were. You're a philosophy nerd too, right?
Yeah, I'm in graduate school for it. So
okay, so you actually go to school. You're not like me, where I just read.
I've learned the most from autodidacts. So
nice, dude.
So no, I don't really. School is you can go to school and kind of be a meathead. So
oh, definitely. I've definitely seen plenty of cases of that.
It doesn't mean very much to me. So
yeah. So what? Did you see the video that I played at the beginning of this stream? I played it 3 times.
I saw one of your videos, but I think it was the videos that you had played, the one that was blacked out.
Okay.
But didn't see the one before that.
Oh, no, it was the same video. I just played it 3 times. So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so what are your initial thoughts just seeing that video? What's your reaction to it?
Well, you see, I deconverted about in 2020. Okay. I was a pretty devout Christian. So, I mean, I've had friends and I've known people in the church that have responded that way. And in many cases, when I was a Christian, it really moved me in a way where like I actually appreciated my religious belief. I mean, I think I did hear your claim that it was unhealthy what she was doing. And I would agree to the extent that, you know, she is maybe if she's less happy or if she's causing harm to others. But I didn't, maybe I misread her emotions. Maybe her emotions was that she was in a state of pain. But if it were the case that she wasn't in a state of pain, rather she was just sort of moved by the kind of sacrifice in the story. And although, yeah, she thinks it's true, I don't really see anything particularly troublesome about that. In fact, it's actually kind of, for me, if I'm reading the situation correctly, it's actually even inspiring, even though I think Christianity is nonsense. But
wait, when you say, I'm trying to figure out if you started talking about a separate video, are you referring to the one that I played here?
The lady that was blacked out, right?
Oh, it was a guy, so that was the only reason I got confused. It was a kid, so that was the only. Yeah. Okay.
It was a kid. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Did you perceive that person in a kind of state of pain or something, or?
Yeah. No. So if you could see the video, and of course I blacked out the face because he's a minor. He's crying and he's going through this experience of thinking that Jesus. Thinking that Jesus was tortured, and the reason why Jesus was tortured was for him, not him alone, but for humanity's sake. And the level of like guilt that he feels, I compared it to, because I've experienced this feeling when I was a kid and I watched the Mel Gibson movie, The Passion of the Christ, and I remember,
similar,
just feeling like, oh my God, like he did this for me, you know, and. Now that I'm able to reflect on that as an adult, especially being one who doesn't believe in this religion, I think on the surface it is quite obvious why this is so problematic, because you're feeling guilty for something that you shouldn't be feeling guilty for, because you think that sin isn't a real thing. If sin was a real thing, then I guess I don't know if you should feel guilty.
I'm with you there. Yeah, I'm with you there. Like I think guilty is almost defined as like, you know, people would rather not be in a state of guilt than not. So yeah, like I think that could constantly feeling like you're in a state of guilt Like I think that's no good, no matter what
Right.
belief system. But even if you are guilty, I think that if you can do something to alleviate your guilt, that's a good thing, right? So even if it were true, Christianity were true, I think that there would be Christians on your side of things, actually. That look, you don't need to feel guilty anymore, given that Jesus has kind of wiped away your guilt or your
Oh, those Christians are certainly a thing.
yeah. So I might have been
Okay.
misreading the video. If it's the case that this person, because it's difficult to read Christians when they are expressing how undeserving they are of grace. Many many times when I expressed that, I wasn't in a state of guilt. More like I was just describing like how fortunate I was. Like it was just this kind of it does seem kind of twisted, but I didn't feel guilty. I felt in fact, some Christians feel liberated, right? Feel like they're free from.
Right.
So yeah, maybe. But if it's the case that she was feeling overwhelming guilt, then I'm right there with you.
Right. So he
So,
sorry, go on, Correa.
oh, just we're talking about purity culture. So one thing I learned this week is that in at least 44 states in the US, child marriage is still legal. And since 2000, there have been over 300,000 child marriages, with some of them being as young as 10. And that, and like, it makes me think of the Bible verse where God basically instructs a woman has to marry her rapist, like is forced to, and like it was like 86% of these child marriages, it was from a younger girl to an older man. And that like some of these situations were where these girls would get assaulted by like one of their parents' friends and then like be pregnant, and then like the parents would would sign that like they're gonna get married because you're pregnant, so now you have to get married. And so yeah, these like girls are still getting forced or like being forced to marry their rapist, and then they don't have legal rights. Like they cannot divorce them until they turn 18. If they decide to leave them, they can literally file like a report that their kid ran away because they're under 18.
And usually in ancient divorces, the men would keep custody of the children.
Right. I agree with the sort of like the point that you're bringing up and the condemnation of the facts that you stated. I guess I'm a little bit confused on how we transitioned back to purity culture. Which of course I'm still up for ridiculing. But I just wanted to be sure
that because sex has been created where like there's so much taboo around it because of purity culture, and that like you have to like it creates this mindset of like, well, it doesn't matter as long as they're married. So like
right.
if like that's where that like there's that huge pressure of like if you find out that you're pregnant outside of wedlock for them
Yeah.
to get married. and so it's like because of like purity culture and the way that like the sin theology works, because like since all sins are like not all sins are equal in the Bible, but they all have the same consequence. So they are equal, even though the Bible does put like an emphasis on sexual sins. And what it does is it causes you to make really, really small things huge. Oh, well, I lied, and now lying is a sin, and so now like I am a sinner and I am going to go to hell. But it also causes other things that are fucking huge to be completely minimized, because that is literally what we're seeing with the Duggars, with Josh Duggar. They think, well, yeah, no, what he did was bad, but people sin all the time. You know, like they even like make a point to not even like that the fact that he was watching child pornography, it's because but all pornography is bad. And so, yeah, because of that, it creates all of these like mindset of shame and trying to hide things. And so they would rather have marry off their child to the rapist rather than have to like have their daughter carry the shame of having the child out of wedlock.
Yeah.
You see, the way that I like to criticize a religious system, not just a religious system, but any kind of ideology, is I only try to levy criticism in which a member of that class would actually disagree with me or not support what I was saying. You see, like typically, like in case, like sort of the cases that you were giving, like where you had to marry your rapist, right? I think the majority of Christians are going to actually agree with you that right now there might be a question of what the Bible says. Maybe they're inconsistent with it, but thank God that they're inconsistent with it. I don't really, I don't really argue Bible stuff. If it's the case that Bible preaches X and they're really against X, then yeah, there's an inconsistency. But so what? I'm glad they're inconsistent with it.
Yeah. So there was a they actually in the state of Idaho, they tried to pass a bill to raise the age from 16 to 18, and it was a two-page bill, so it wasn't like something that was added into like something. That was the only thing they discussed that day, and they turned it down because they were like, well, but what if they're pregnant?
Wait, I'm sorry. I guess if we're trying to criticize Christianity, it just seems like, could a Christian in principle agree with your criticism? I think they would. They could, right? So it seems like it's not really a criticism of Christianity per se.
So this is where I have a little bit of
but Christianity caused it.
I don't see how that would be true. I mean,
so if you have a religious holy book which allows people to do X, and like you were saying, most people, it's in their holy book, but most of them are inconsistent. And of course, you and I are like, okay, well, I would rather them be inconsistent. Like, I'm glad you're not stoning gay people. Like, it's cool that you don't do that. But then the problem is that it still remains the case that some of the gay people who are being stoned as a result of these religious teachings. And these religious teachings do not cease to be a cause for some of the stoning that's happening. And I think
I think they do cease to be a cause. Really? I think that, yeah, because when you're trying to explain these things, I think it has to be contrastive. So let me give you an example, right? Suppose we both jump off a plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I end up dying and you end up living. Okay. If we're trying to explain that difference, right, it wouldn't be a good explanation to say that it was because I jumped off the plane that I died, right? Because you did the same thing and you lived. So in the same way,
well, no, because you still have it being a cause in some cases, not all cases. So, like, again, I'm not saying that like gay people being stoned would cease to happen. It would continue to happen, but you wouldn't have people who were doing it on the basis of these religious beliefs. So like if let's say hypothetically 30% of people who kill someone for being gay do it just because they're, naturally they're homophobic. And then let's say 70% of the people were doing it because they were religious. If you were to get people to not believe in their religion, or you were to eradicate that religion, if that was possible, then while you would still have people stoning people for being gay, all of the people who were doing it because of their religious beliefs would stop doing it. So yeah, no, but you would have a decrease.
You should take my analogy. I think you should hear out my analogy, though, right? The idea is that number one, if we're trying to explain why I died and you lived, it would not be a good explanation to say that we went skydiving, right? That's not what explains the difference. It'd be maybe something wrong with my parachute, right?
Well, right, Yeah.
What the idea is that, yes, how do we prevent skydiving deaths? We can just cut out skydiving, period, and there, no deaths, right? So it's true that the way that I see it is that Christianity does cause stuff, but it also causes the opposite stuff, right? So skydiving creates great experiences. It also creates awful experiences. Right?
Okay, so I guess where we're seeing a difference in the analogy is Christianity causing the opposite of killing someone for being
Yeah, they're
gay.
Christians that love gay people. In fact, support them.
Right, but their love and support isn't caused by their Christianity as to where their desire to kill them is.
Well, no. There are Christians that will cite their religious belief for their love of gays.
Oh, you're right, but they start with their love for gays, and then, like many people do, they try to find the passages that most align with the position that they want to defend. So, like, if you ask two Christians, and let's say one of these Christians smokes weed, and the other one is a more conservative type who, isn't for smoking weed. If you ask them, is it a sin to smoke weed? Then they're going to quote different verses to justify their position. Because if you go to Genesis and it's like something to the effect of every herb of the field I give to you, mankind, I don't know it by words, but then you can quote that to support your position. But then, of course, if you're somebody who's against smoking weed and you live in a state where it's illegal, you could say, well, there's a verse that says to abide by the law of the land. And here in this land, it's illegal. So we don't. So for that reason, they're using the Bible to justify their position against weed.
Yeah, I guess,
and the point that I'm
my
making is that in both of those cases, the person already started out with their position. Their position isn't a result of the Bible's teaching. As to where, when someone wants to kill a gay person on the basis of a religious belief, it is caused by that religious belief. As to where when they try to cite the Bible to justify loving a gay person, they're doing so because they're trying to post hoc justify a love that they already have.
Sure, that happens, but I don't think that disputes my claim. My claim is this, right? There are people that love gay people and transgender and others, right? And they cite their Christianity. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. There are people then that hate gay people. In fact, would go so far as to have them executed, and they cite their Christianity. Do you agree?
Correct.
Okay. So if you're trying to explain the difference, you can't appeal to a common factor. The common factor being the citation of their Christianity.
Well, no, but it wasn't the citation itself. So what they did was in one case caused by the citation, and in the other case, the citation was caused by their desire that they already started out with.
I don't see how does that turn the conversation. If you and I agree that there are people that explain their love or hatred, okay, in terms of their religious commitments,
right?
Then it doesn't matter how they got to the religious commitments. The religious commitments are not going to be a sufficient explanation or a contrastive explanation for those different outcomes.
But I did explain the difference in these situations, and the reason is because when the person is stoning a gay person, now sometimes it'll be the case that they started out with their homophobia and they turn to the Bible to cite a justification. But what you have happen probably more often than that is people who otherwise wouldn't have done the stoning of the gay person, but because of the Bible's command to do it, they do. The person who loves gay people isn't loving them because the Bible told them to do it. They already
That's
love
what they're
gay
saying.
people.
No, there are people that cite the Bible as a reason for loving gay people. Are you denying those people exist?
No, I'm denying that that's actually that what they're saying is actually the case. They can say that they love gay people because the Bible tells them to, but I don't believe that to be true. I think they already love gay people.
Why wouldn't you believe them?
I simply don't think that their reason for loving other human beings actually stems from their religious beliefs. I think that loving other people is something that comes natural to us as a social species. So it's something that was caused by your psychology and your evolutionary process, not by what you read.
Like, so every time someone says that, Shane, I love you because Jesus loves you or something like that, or despite you being an atheist or gay or whatever, I don't know if you're gay, but you wouldn't believe them.
I believe that they love me, and I don't think they're lying. I think that in their head, that's their reason for loving me, but I don't think it's actually the case that is their reason for loving me.
So I think you're describing a psychological law here. And I mean, but that gets into other, I mean, it seems like you're giving some kind of law where, like, if there's a text that has a prima facie understanding where you're supposed to hate this particular group, then necessarily, if you love that group, then there's going to be this other kind of explanation rather than, like, I guess I'm fine with, I mean, I just seems kind of weird. I think
so here's where I'm confused. We're looking at an example of a person doing something because they've been commanded to do it. And it's as though you're making the point that, like, whether or not they had the command, they would have done it anyway. And what I'm saying is no, because they're doing it because they were commanded to do it.
sorry, can you
So
go over that again?
okay, so if somebody is killing gay people, and the
Okay.
reason they're killing gay people is because they are commanded to do it,
Okay.
how am I wrong in saying that if you cease to have the command, and the command is the cause for the action, that the
Mhm.
action too would cease to be?
Yeah, I'm not, yeah, you're right. So I'm not saying that Christianity can't explain anything, right? It can explain particular actions, right? But it's not going to, it's not going to have a causal tendency in itself. Okay. I think that, so it's sort of like saying that knives have a causal tendency to kill people in itself. I just don't think they do, right? I think that however, you can cite them as explanations for deaths, but when you're citing that as an explanation for why someone killed another person or whatever, why some particular person died to that particular murder weapon, you're not saying that, oh, well, then knives are inherently dangerous. Okay. I think that's how I look at ideologies as well, right?
Well,
I don't
no,
think.
but if like knives were allowed in a prison, right, and then like stabbings just went through the roof, like you
Mhm.
would probably agree that the stabbings went through the roof
Yeah, but that
because
doesn't, you
life
see, that
was
doesn't
down.
commit me to saying that therefore knives have an intrinsic property of being dangerous, right? Which is what I take the claim to be. It's more like this, right? That knives in certain contexts and with certain individuals, certain psychologies, right, will inevitably have these outcomes. And then, but if you just take a different context with different psychologies, they'll actually could have a much better outcome, right? In fact, a positive outcome. Okay. And that's how I look at Christianity. And so given certain types of psychologies and environments and societies, right, Christianity will explain some atrocities, right? But then in other environments and other psychologies, it will explain altruism and positive outcomes in societies, right? So there's not going to be an intrinsic property of Christianity towards good or bad outcomes.
Okay, so I think we've at least established a pretty good point of our disagreement. I do want to get back to the discussion about manipulation. Although I do appreciate your articulation of your point. I think you you articulated it very well. I remain in
As long as you understand
disagreement.
me, I'm fine. So
Yeah.
if you want to go back to
Well,
the
no.
original,
What I was gonna do real quick was, yep, he does. He's homophobic. You disagreed with me, so now I'm making everybody hate you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm probably the gayest person in this stream, so don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the disagreement. And because I was hoping, part of the reason I opened up the stream was I wanted to get other perspectives, and prior to you coming on, I only had people who agreed with me entirely. And I love to argue, so yeah, thanks for tuning in, man.
All right, you take care, Shane. See ya.
All right, you be safe, man. I'm gonna have to get that guy back on here when in a conversation about like epistemology or something. I've seen him and I've heard him talk, and I've been like, this guy knows his shit. He seems like a really smart dude. I agree with him on the conversation we were just having. But of course, I don't think that someone disagreeing with me is anywhere near. Well, there are certain things you could disagree with me on, bro. I'm gonna think you're stupid. Like if you think the Earth is flat, then I think you're stupid. But that's one of the few. Okay, so I guess to summarize this stream, the problem that I have with Christianity is ultimately that it teaches people to feel guilty for something that they didn't even do, and that they're deserving of some eternal torment on the basis of this thing that they didn't even really do. I'm nothing other than, well, not nothing other than, I'm mostly sympathetic toward the Christians who expressed the views that the kid in the video expressed. And I mean, I cannot explain my sympathy enough. I really hope that that kid wakes up one day and steps out of it and just reflects. And I understand that right now, when you watch that video, it's hard to consider the possibility that kid might deconvert. But like I said, that kid you see in that video, that was me when I watched Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. Christianity just teaches children, I mean people, but you get children feeling incredibly guilty. I guess I'm kind of repeating myself here, but incredibly guilty over something completely ridiculous. Even the eating of fucking fruit. This is the worst thing anybody's done, is learn the difference from good and evil. Okay, well, anyways, I feel a little bit better now. I was pretty much pissed off all day, and I don't know, just getting to interact with people has been great. Getting to vent and rant out into the ether has been amazing. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to me already. I've been on TikTok for a week, and I have a third of the followers on TikTok as I do YouTube subscribers. I guess I'm just better at TikTok, even though I fucking hate it and actually like doing YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to watch my video. If you're a Christian, please remember that I do not hate you. I just think that your beliefs are harmful for you, and because I care about you, I would like to see you lose them. It's just the belief. It's not you. Everybody be safe.